Oh my god, it's stuck. Okay, so look, I've got these new wheelhouses. Yeah, what I'm going to do in today's episode is attempt to overhaul the windscreen wipers. As you just saw there, they're not the best. They completely stopped working at one point. We've replaced it with a brand new motor, but the actual mechanisms between the motor and the wipers themselves are, well, I think they're worn out. So there's two wheelhouses which connect to the wipers, and inside that is a cog, kind of like you would get on the back of a bike, and then you have this, what's it called? Front wiper drive cable. So this drive cable feeds through the top of here, and the motor pulls this cable, which kind of acts like a chain on a cog, and pulls it back and forth to give you the wiper operation. And what I think's happened is that the cog inside this, over the years, it's probably never been replaced in the 30 years. I think the cog is worn out and the teeth have probably worn down, and this cable may have also become stretched, and I think I may as well just replace it at the same time. So I've got two of them. The new motor has already been installed, so it's not an issue with that, and I'll show you how I did that. And I'll need to obviously access that when I'm connecting up this new cable, and I've got two new windscreen wipers. So when my wipers stopped working, I phoned up a garage and I got a quote to replace and repair all of the wipers, and it was for £1,000. They said they'd have to take all the dash out, they'd have to replace all the mechanisms in between the motor and the wipers. So yeah, I was like, nah, I'm not paying £1,000. How hard can it be? And actually, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. So yeah, you need these parts that I've got listed on screen just now. You can get cheaper parts, or you can get the more expensive genuine parts, and you can get even more expensive parts that are custom made. You'll probably see and make up your own mind as to what's the best option based on how things go in this video. And yeah, so this diagram here is for a left-hand drive Defender, but it doesn't matter because it's the same setup for both sides. This is a big... I need to re-glue some of this. try and take these wipers out. There's a little tab behind here. Didn't like that bad. Okay, let's just pause here for a second. And what I didn't film was me removing the old cable by disconnecting it from the end of the motor and then pulling it free off all the sheaths. I then took that and put it up against the new cable so that I could get the right size, because they come as like a standard size. It's not that you can basically cut to your requirements. So I did that, put some grease on it, not too much, because you don't want to totally smother it, and then I put it back into place. And yeah, you can see on this picture here what it looks like inside the motor. You have this gear, you have like a gear lever, you can see there the cable connects to one end and then one end connects to the motor gear. This is not my motor, this is just one I got off the internet. And then you got the 3 pieces of sheaths at the top of the picture, which it has to thread through, and then through the 2 gearboxes. And on the right side is just the cover for the motor. The motor itself is just plug and play. There's just one connection that goes into it. It is earthed as well onto the bulkhead, so you have to make sure that you connect it properly. And the other thing to make sure is just to disconnect from the negative terminal in the battery before you start, just in case you short anything or blow a fuse or blow yourself up. And there is actually a really good guide online which I used as a basis for replacing all of these bits, and I'll leave that link in the description so that you can use that, because it does a much better job than me of going through the various steps that you need to follow. So okay, let's get back to it. So I had the wipers installed. Well, I had the wheel boxes turning fine with the motor installed, but then once I put load on it by actually plugging on or fitting onto the wiper blades to the boxes, obviously that creates load on these, and the wire, the cable which goes in here around the cog, just keeps slipping out. And you see, this is the Britpart part. This is the original one, and you can see it's just further down, so it just holds the wire better in place. So that's why you don't buy Britpart. Right, so I've pushed the metal pulley through this sheath, and then it comes through into the gear, into the motor, sorry, and then attaches back on to here, to this part here, and then clips back onto the motor with this clip here, and then I just need to put the top back on. So this is the original one, which has got the worn out gears teeth, but you can see it fits pretty snugly in there, and there's not much room for the wire to move up and down. And this is the Britpart one, but I'm having to hold it because it won't even stay in place. There's so much room between the top of the cog and this bracket. It's hard to make out there, but see, there's a lot of play there. So I'm going to try and bash this top bit with a hammer. Right, so this is the wheel boxes I've adjusted with a hammer. So apologies, my GoPro has lost I've lost the charger, so but yeah, what I was saying was this tube here connects into the 2 wheel boxes, which acts as a sheath for the pulley, and then there's just this end piece which will slot in here, underneath here like that, and then you tighten it all up and then I'll tighten it up from the bolt on the outside as well, and see how it goes. They're all bolted back in place, sheaths are in place. I just need to thread the wire through, cable pulley. I keep using different words for it, I'm afraid. And then, well, I need to lube that up first. And these have been tightened on this side. So yeah, just need to lube the pulley up a little bit more, make sure it's clean, and then let's go from there. Okay, I sent back the Britpart wheel boxes because they are absolutely terrible. They just slip. So this is the ones that came off, but as I said before, this part on the Britpart ones is like kind of up, so there's too much space between the wheel and this part. I did try to bend it down, but it just still wasn't working that well. It was still slipping out, and then I just kept on trying to adjust it more and more, and then eventually got to a point where it just got stuck and it wasn't free enough, so then that would just put strain on the motor and probably just break. And since I have to take the whole dash out to do this, I'm just going to do it right. So I've sent the Britpart ones back, and I've got genuine Landrover Jaguar ones. So these do seem to be, it's hard to make out, but they just look better. They seem better made, and this part seems to be much the same distance between the top of the cog and this part, which stops the pulley coming out and slipping, because you don't want it slipping, but you don't want it too tight either, because then it would just cause too much strain on the motor and it could get stuck. So yeah, a bit of a pain in the arse, but let's try and fit these. Moment of truth, got our nice new OEM Jaguar Land Rover wheel boxes, new wipers, new motor, all plugged in. Let's turn the ignition on, and then let's try the wipers. I think this windscreen is a wash. Yes, boys, success.